Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Crucible Tarot. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. And it is a hot and balmy day in the UK. Temperatures are now getting about, God, dare I say, around 30 degrees. And it's just been a sweltering one. And with that said, speaking of sweltering, things are heating up in the UK with the resignation of Sir Keir Starmer from the Labour government, well, from the government altogether, from Downing Street. He has resigned this morning. Everyone kind of felt it coming on, as the weekend slowly ended, and then we were all getting ready for Monday, 8 o'clock, prime time for his speech. And yes, I woke up to the news and I was just like, fucking hell, it actually happened. But that said, now that leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions and additionally things that we want to kind of peer into for the future of this country, which I can say is changing by the by. So, by the day, rather. So yeah, what we're going to do, as we are in our own little crucible here, I'm going to just go ahead and start things off the good old-fashioned way by saying, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings, and additionally, just support the channel however you like. So, on with the show. So I've shuffled the cards. We're going to take a look. We're going to do a Tarocchi Mundi reading, which is going to talk about, mundane astrology. Mundane tarot. Sorry. And we're going to look into what's going to take place for the new incoming and Burnham Labour government from now until the general elections go. It's pretty much written in the stars, or it's pretty much in the bag, that Burnham is going to lead the next government. He's won his election in Makerfield, the by-election in Makerfield, and that's essentially going to allow him to start his leadership contest to challenge for the Labour leadership and carry on the incoming government, so that way they can lead it up until about 2029. So with that said, the outgoing Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has been an outright disaster for this country. And dare I say, he has been one of the most ignominious leaders in the history of the UK. I mean, you talk about anything that gets closer to Big Brother, that was it. That, I've actually seen what it feels like, well, seen what it's like and feel what it's like to live in a dictatorship of sorts. So, and I've lived in many countries around the world, including communist countries, and dare I say, I had more freedoms there. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started with this reading. Shuffle the cards. I'm going to be using the Steampunk Tarot here, its Lenormand counterpart, along with that to just kind of give us a little bit of a lesson as to what's going to take place from now until the general election takes place under this Andy Burnham-led Labour government. So let's see what we have here. First message from the oracles. So we have card number 16. This is the clock. Essentially, it could be the stars, actually. Things are written in destiny. Things are going to be moving at their own pace. And we are going to be looking at a fated series of events leading up to the general election. And what we notice about what will happen once Andy Burnham gets into place, there are other things that will be set in stone for his agenda. I'm going to just kind of read this off the cuff as to how it comes into me intuitively. I think he's going to have an agenda for himself that's going to push forward a lot of the things that have been destined to take place for the United Kingdom. Those things did happen under Keir Starmer in many ways. I think his government will continue to push that same agenda, but it will only be a matter of time before things actually start to kind of buckle and give way. So what I'll do is I'll read a little bit about what that's going to mean for the people. So when we look at the meaning of card number 16. It's the star, so it's positive. It means recognition, success, guidance, peace, serenity, hope, light in the darkness, something you can trust. Well, we'll find out if we can actually trust what takes place, but I'll keep myself a blank slate and I'll try to be as nonpartisan as possible so I can get the message that the divine has to tell us about this to you. So with that said, the initial feeling is that Andy Burnham will bring a new hope for the Labour leadership. People will become more engaged in politics. That's how it's been for the last 8 years, where we've had 7 prime ministers, including Keir Starmer. Now we've got Andy Burnham in. So I guess that will make him the 7th. And people will see him as kind of like the guy next door. He's the one that's led Manchester, which I used to live in Manchester. It's a cool spot. It's got an amazing music scene, and the people there are pretty mint. And I love just, Mancunian culture. However, I will say, okay, yep, sports are also really great. However, I will say that it's got some grotty parts and there are some shady things that have happened in the past with Manchester. It's a double-edged sword, just like many places, even including London. However, I will not live in London ever again. I would prefer to live in Manchester. Sorry, London. We then start to see kind of, with Andy Burnham, we kind of are going to start to see like people feeling more engaged in politics, wanting to discover and learn a little bit more about what's taking place for their future. They're going to want him to push forward legislation that suits them, that's going to benefit the whole of society rather than just a small select group of people. And I think that will be the initial kind of strategy that he uses. He's going to say that he's a man for the people and so on and so on. But what I see here is a clock, and that clock is running right on schedule. And what he's going to do, he's going to push forward the machinery that is needed to keep an agenda moving. And for me, I don't really support that. While this can be a positive card here as an oracle message, I will definitely say that we need to keep an eye on this situation. But let's find out what the rest of the cards say. I'm just going to freestyle it. So what else should we know about Mr. Burnham? Tell me more about Mr. Andy Burnham and his government leading to the general election. Tell me one more card. One more card. Okay. So, got 2 cards coming out. So here's what's going to happen. And I'll just say it. Cards have spoken. We've got a lot of cards that have come out. And a lot of 8s. First up, we have the 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands talks about standing up for a cause, defending something, being proud and headstrong, being able to push off a lot of opposition. So this is how he's going to come off in the beginning. I'm a person for the commoner, the working class. You have allowed me to stand in the by-election of Makerfield to become, the challenger for your next prime ministership. And that is going to allow me to say that I have some legitimacy in what I'm doing and in the plan that I've set out to continue to lead the Labour Party in its most beleaguered times. 5, 5, 7. Yeah. So again, Queen of Pentacles. We're going to see that Burnham is going to try to offer stability. He's going to say, I am going to be the person that kind of brings stability back to the UK, allows for things to become more peaceful. I'm going to nurture this country, bring in the investment and the jobs and the things that especially the youth need, something that can unite all sides of the political spectrum. So that way we can have unity in a new kind of form and shape rather than a coercive shape which took place under Sir Keir Starmer, is going to take place on some of the most practical of terms. Because he was the mayor of Manchester, or Greater Manchester, for such a long time, despite his dealings with some of the criminality that have taken place there, he's going to try to say and use and leverage his ability to nurture economic growth to benefit the people. And so that's what his pledge is going to be initially. Tell me one more card about that. Give me one more card about that, please. So he's not really a man of the spotlight. So he's 6 of Wands. He's going to acknowledge the failures of the Labour government that has taken place in the recent past, over the last 2 years under Keir Starmer, and dealing with Angela Rayner and Jess Phillips and a lot of the other ones, David Lammy from the previous cabinet, the outgoing cabinet. And he's going to say that, we have failed the people. And despite failing the people, he wants to bring things back into a better position. So that way people can they can have trust in the Labour government. And of course, his party members are going to back him on that. He's not only there to strengthen government for the people, but he's also there to strengthen government for his party. And that is what's going to take place within that specific situation. As things progress, we have the 8 of Wands in the reverse. Clarify that. Clarify one more time. Okay, here we go. So we have the 8 of Wands in the reverse. This is going to lead to blockages. People will oppose him, will block his progress, and attempt to keep him in check. 9 of Wands clarifies this. So 9 of Wands in the upright talks about a struggle. It's like you're almost there, but you're not quite getting to the finish line. And things are a bit burdensome. And it's like you're feeling guarded. You're on the defense after that 7 of Wands that came before. The 8 of Wands shows up, which is blocked. And then there's the 9 of Wands. So it's going 7, 8, 9. And clarifying this once again, 9 of Wands, because of the Hierophant in the reverse, this is a tyrannical government system that operates irrespective of the person who's put into power. So we always talk about the interface with the British public or any public that deals with a government system. And then you have the powers that be behind it that are going to then try to, keep the status quo and make sure that things operate on a specific schedule, because that's what the horologer is here. He's the Hierophant, and he's about tried traditions, things that have always been done, things that always work, things that always have been and always will ever be. And with this, you see that he is the master clock. He's the master craftsman of the clocks, and so he's the one that kind of puts them into motion. And he's the one that is the bridge between heaven and earth. So what we see in the material with Andy Burnham in his pledges, they're eventually going to give way to an agenda where he starts to backtrack on his pledges, his promises. He's not able to push things forward through, and House of Commons. He may experience issues with House of Lords as well. So that said, why is he going to face stiff opposition? Another thing is that with the Hierophant in the reverse, it could also indicate a kind of rebellious figure. So Andy Burnham being from the north and having a group of people in his cabinet who are ideally from the north, he's likely going to try to push through unconventional means, which will then lead to a lot of the opposition from other parties, which can then create the conflict that is leading to that 9 of Wands. So I'm going to pull one more card just to see what that's about. One more card. We went from a 7 to an 8 to a 9 of Wands to the 10 of Wands in the reverse. A lot of people will interpret the 10 of Wands as being burdened, but it's being burdened for a good cause. You're getting to the finish line. It's the completion of a difficult cycle. So with the 9 of Wands, you're guided, but with the 10 of Wands, you're picking up those sticks and you're getting to your destination. In this case, that's not happening, so it's more blockage. The 10 of Wands can sometimes tell us about putting down burdens and making sure that we have eliminated the things that we no longer need to carry. But in what I see with Andy Burnham, this is going to be a completely different case. He's going to be overwhelmed by the challenges. So, yeah. Just because we have a new person in power does not mean that we're going to have someone in power who has the power to make the change. So what we have here in the near future, we have coming up the Knight of Swords in the reverse, and then we have the Brazen Head Aura, which is Justice in the reverse as well. So with the Knight of Swords in the reverse and the Brazen Head Aura, Justice in the reverse, this gives me a feeling of the same old dictatorship, new person. So if any of you have ever had to experience something in life where you have the same person enter your life over and over and over again, whether it's like a narcissist, and every woman that you date or every man that you date is a narcissistic type of individual, or someone who's abusive, or someone who exhibits the same kind of qualities, but it's in a different body. It's a theme that the UK is going to have to face on its own. So with this combination here, it's not looking very good. As time progresses, he's going to be made to toe the line. That's the phrase and expression that I'm coming through with now. He's going to be made to toe the line of whoever is the power above his own. And things are going to become very unfair. He's going to break a social contract with people. He will not be able to speak his own truth, because the Knight of Swords is quick, rapid movement, but it's also being able to speak your piece. This is the Knight that we get to before we get to the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is fully cognizant of the truth. And I get someone here who's actually going to speak lies. It's going to be a lot of lies, because the Knight of Swords in the reverse is someone who's a bit of a bullshitter, and they're incapable of telling the truth. Kind of like Ace of Swords in the reverse. And supporting that is going to be Eight of Swords, Eight of Cups in the reverse, and the Hangman in the reverse. This is a suspension tank. Eight of Swords in the reverse, Hangman in the reverse, is going to be another character who refuses to relinquish power. So as he moves into this dictatorial stance with the rest of society, he's going to become increasingly belligerent. He's not going to want to move his power. He's going to say, oh, well, I have fought really long and hard to try to get this position. We're going to keep toting the line. We're going to keep trying to push forward a better Britain, whatever kind of rhetoric that he says. So he's not going to be much different than Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer, we kind of knew he was full of shit when, of course, he comes from a background in human rights law, which he applied to the general public by defending criminals and, devaluing the public. He showed all the traits of a staunch narcissist, where you have the kind of like idealization phase. We idealize what the party is going to be. You're going to tell us, oh, here's all the things we're going to accomplish, and oh, this is just amazing. And then you get to the devaluation phase, and then the discard phase. So now we're in the discard phase. He's buggering off to do his own thing and earn six figures in a think tank, as someone said in one of their podcasts. And I think it was Count Dankula or someone that said that. Shout out to Count Dankula. I don't think anybody's going to watch this, but I don't know, it just popped into my head as I was looking through all the podcasts and everything for today. But yeah, he put us through that kind of narcissistic phase, and these are the things I kind of teach people about when it comes to learning how to protect your energy, learning how to defend yourself against narcissism and psychic vampirism of all kinds. I mean, we had a depraved leadership, not just one leader, but the whole leadership. And every move that was made against the people and their own will. And I see more of that taking place with Andy Burnham. It's going to start out great. It's going to start getting blocked, cutting communication with the public, and then pushing forward a really rough agenda where it's like his leadership is not going to be what we want it to be in the future, leading up to the general election. So we can pull an outcome card for this specific set. I will then pull some cards to talk a little bit about what we can expect leading up to the general election. That's going to be the outcome for Andy Burnham's party, Andy Burnham's government. Going to be the outcome for Andy Burnham's government. Here we go. More of the same. So, at the end of it, Nine of Swords in the reverse. Letting go of the extreme anxiety that this situation takes place. The reason why is because we know that the government will not grow. Empress in the reverse tells us all about the familiar signs of a failure to realize the potential of what could have been. It is failing to carry something to term, which in this case could tell us that another resignation could take place. Jesus. And more importantly, it's almost like he's going to be yet another example of the sterile or the sterility of democracy in the United Kingdom. It's like democracy in name only, but not really capable of delivering any real democratic expression of the will of the people, which is going to have a lot of people rethink what a democratic society is going to actually look like. And then we have Comet in the reverse. Hopelessness, rudderlessness, aimlessness, not being able to be in tune with your higher self, not being able to know which way to move forward. That is what's going to take place as an outcome of this Burnham government. I am saying this because I trust the cards, and I'm also saying this because I trust the divine in delivering the messages. And they have not failed me since. I'll pull one more card to see as to why all of this is taking place. So why is this the outcome for Andy Burnham and his government? And we have another 8. So we have several 8s in here. We have the 8 of Cups in the reverse, 8 of Wands in the reverse. Now we have the 8 of Swords in the reverse, complementing the 9 of Swords. Full card. And the 3 of Cups in the reverse. When you have the 3 of Cups in the reverse, that talks about sabotage. You have people working behind your back. Fool, taking a leap of faith, a new start. So what's going to happen is as things progress in his party, people within his circle are going to betray him. They're going to ask him to stand down. They're going to say, we need new leadership. Or he could trigger a general election. Will he trigger a general election? Upright yes, reverse no. Right, yes, reverse no. Will Andy Burnham trigger a general election? Upright, yes. And it's the Five of Swords, which means that it's going to be a bloody general election. Five of Swords, upright. So the last hope for Labour. It's going to start well. It's going to progress into a tyrannical stance. And it's going to lead to another kind of explosive finale, the same way that Keir Starmer's has. The same way it has for the last 7, prime minister positions. And I don't know why I'm getting the expression or phrase, Labour is finished. But it might be the case. If he doesn't deliver on what people need, and if he continues to cater to a very minority of people, a small minority of people, and additionally a people who do not represent the will of the UK, and if he doesn't sort out the criminality, if he doesn't sort out the jobs, the markets, shit is going to hit the fan. And that's all I can say. So, long term, will we have leadership? What will the leadership long term be like once the general election happens? What will be the results of the general election? Okay, one more thing. Okay. So, Two of Swords. It's going to be a fierce competition, stalemate nearly. It's going to be a long period of silence in which the ballots are being tallied up. And then we have the World, which talks about the completion of a cycle, a new start. So this is the very end of the cycle for the Fool's journey in the Major Arcana, leading back to the Fool, which we did have towards the near future. And so in seeing that, that does kind of give me a little bit of synchronicity that allows for me to see what is taking shape for this, for this British government. And additionally, clarify the world. Okay. King of Wands. The reason why we have the World card here is because the King of Wands is coming up. He is going to be a very, very good leader. Very good leader. Well, okay, let's find out who it's going to be, just for the sake of it. Will it be a Conservative government? Upright, yes. Reverse, no. Possibly. Will it be Labour government? Upright, yes. Reverse, no. No, Labour is completely finished. Will it be a Reform government? Right, yes. Reverse, no. Possibly. Will it be a Restore government? Right, yes. Reverse, no. What it's saying is that I think it's going to be a Reform Conservative coalition. I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to. Well, I'm just going to read what the cards say. Labour, no, dead. We have a Reform, but the Four of Pentacles. It's going to be on by a thread. I don't know what's giving me the Lovers for the Conservative government. And then for Restore, it's going to give me these two cards here. But we'll see. Things can change, as with this entire situation. But what we do know is that the leader of the next government is going to be highly confident, It's going to be able to take the world by storm. It's going to be able to get things done. That's the type of government it's going to be. So what I'm actually... That's a good one. What I'm actually seeing is that whoever fits that bill, who's the confident, strong leader, who's going to lead the UK into a new cycle, a new era of leadership, of governance, he will have those qualities and traits. I see him as having a very strong Aries, Leo, Sagittarius kind of energy to them. No nonsense. If that's restored, great. If it's a new conservative government, if it's a new kind of reform, I don't know. That will be said. What I will do is I'll follow up on this in the near future. I don't really like doing the upright yes, reverse no type readings because they tend not to be as accurate as I would like them to be, but that's what it said. So we're going to go with that for now, and we will follow up with it in the near future. So that said, I hope you enjoyed this reading. This has been Crucible Tarot. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates for future posts. And additionally, feel free to support the channel in whatever way you see fit. I hope this has been helpful, and best of luck to the UK. You know, we're all in it. Hopefully we're in it to win it long term. We shall see. Thank you so much, and until next time. How do we say this again? VIAM, GEVURAH, AMBULO. Bye now.